As we all know at this point, Goldberg is the new Universal Champion. He snatched it from Kevin Owens at Fastlane, and with that, there are a lot of folks who are up in arms. They are pissed to the highest level of pisstivity. They're ready to march on WWE headquarters with their pitchforks, their torches, all of that good stuff. And I'm just sitting back like, okay. Like, I understand why people are mad about what's going on because you have this old timer. You know, shit, he was a main eventer in WCW, and WCW has been out of business for what, 16 years at this point? So you have a main eventer from a company that has been out of business for 16 years coming into WWE and beating a rising star, one of the best talents in WWE today, for what they want us to believe is a top championship. So I get it. You know, and I see you up on your soapbox all virtuous and stuff, and it's cute, but I do have a request. Please stop acting like you gave a shit about the Universal Championship, because you really didn't. You didn't. You didn't give a damn about that title. You know this, because most of you all who are complaining about Kevin Owens losing the championship, you were perfectly fine with the Universal Championship being used as a comedy prop by Kevin Owens on a week-to-week basis, and it just being dragged along in this comedy routine of Kevin Owens and Chris Jericho. You sat back and either you were content with him being turned into a comedian or you absolutely loved it. We had this known sociopath being turned into a joke. We had Kevin Owens being turned into Kevin James. And one thing that I will not take away from him, he was entertaining. He was absolutely hilarious. He was funny as hell. But guess what? Being funny does not rescue you from being a completely shitty champion. And that's exactly what Kevin Owens was. This title was nothing more than a weak paperweight that was just being dragged along for the ride with whatever was going on with Chris Jericho and Kevin Owens. And I tried to warn you guys. I tried to let you know that at some point, these chickens were gonna come home to roost, because the rollout of the Universal Championship in WWE, it's been absolutely terrible. You can go all the way back to the very first time that we saw that title at SummerSlam, and it was immediately rejected by the crowd. And hell, even before that, the bungled feud between Finn Balor and Seth Rollins, that wasn't even that good. And they fucked that one up. And then you have the terrible debut of the championship, it being rejected by the crowd. And then you have Finn Balor being injured in the very same match where he won the championship. He had to relinquish the title 24 hours later. You fast forward to Kevin Owens winning the championship in a moment that still has not been fully explored to this day, with Triple H literally handing Kevin Owens the championship. So yeah, and then of course he goes on to become Kevin James in this comedy routine with him and Jericho. Is anyone really surprised that this happened? WWE, at some point, those chickens were going to come home to roost, and they were going to realize that we need to save this championship. And that's why it is on a big money match like Brock Lesnar versus Goldberg. And for all of the folks out there who are saying things like, oh, Goldberg versus Brock Lesnar, they don't need the Universal Championship, you are 100% correct. Goldberg and Brock Lesnar do not need the Universal Championship. The championship needs them. Somehow, some way, some life needs to be sparked with this title. It needs some kind of prestige. It needs to start building a legacy, because they really have not done that up to this point. So having someone with the name of Goldberg, taking all of the interest that exists with his feud with Brock Lesnar, they're attempting to do something about it now. And is this the optimal situation? No. Do I want to be the type of person that sits here and says Goldberg needs to defeat Kevin Owens for a championship in WWE in the year 2017? Hell no. I don't want to be the type of person that says something like that, but desperate times call for desperate measures. No one really held Kevin Owens to a higher standard than being a comedian, so this is what you get now. And I sit back and I criticize characters like Kevin Owens. I sit back and I criticize characters like Dean Ambrose, and people look at me like I'm crazy. Like, I look at them and I see them being comedians, and their main objective, you know, the number one priority over anything else, go out there and make people laugh. Go out there and be funny. Go out there and be entertaining. And then I complain about that, and people look at me like I'm crazy. Like, well, aren't they funny? If that's their objective and they're meeting their objective, what issue do you have? The issue that I have is that they're not they're not being presented as big time stars when you do things like that. And realize now, after all of that time that people spent questioning me about why I was talking shit about Kevin Owens and Dean Ambrose, realize, let me paint a picture for you. Look at all of the time that they spent holding championships. World titles in WWE. Dean Ambrose with the WWE Championship, Kevin Owens with the Universal Championship. Look at all of the time that they spent in the main event scene on their shows. Now, realize when shit starts getting serious and we start moving closer and closer to WrestleMania, where are Dean Ambrose and Kevin Owens right now? They're going to be fighting over mid-card titles. They were promptly pushed the hell out of the main event scene. They had more serious characters be moved into their places, and now they're being relegated to mid-card championship matches at WrestleMania. Can you hear me now? Do you get it now? I don't know. Maybe you don't, but I'm connecting the pieces. Shit. I don't know. Maybe I'm just talking mess. I don't know. But that's all I got to say about that one. Stop acting like you gave a shit about the Universal Championship. You really didn't.